Yes, friends, today we are continuing the discussion that we had initiated with deconstruction and idea of deconstruction. Let us continue from yesterday where we have stopped, and we discussed yesterday that science or what Sassurian idea that language is a system whose parts can and must all be considered in their synchronic solidarity. We had find that how Derrida is not against the term signified, but he put that term under erasure. And then how Derrida argues with the word called difference, and how Derrida points out that the meaning, how it is changing, and that's why he says that in an attempt to capture signified, we keep from we keep moving from one signifier to another signifier, and we never get to the signified, and the signified gets lost in this search, and we keep going round and round. So he pointed out that this unstable condition entails the endless weaving and unweaving of language and text. Now, moving ahead with this discussion, if there is no signified or entity or thing which is present, what we are left with, the post prints, or you can say impressions or traces of what is absent. No sign is complete in itself. Please understand this, because it depends upon another sign, and that sign in turn depends upon another sign. In other words, we can say each sign is only a trace of an other or another, and without the one that supplements it, no sign is complete, because it requires supplements. For every sign, half of it is not that, and the other half not there. This means that there are no clear cut forms or no entities. There are only formations, indications, impressions, imprints, you can say, or traces, where you will find each sign supplements the other. The notion of the notions, all the notions, circularity, plurality, you can say indeterminacy or free play or difference and supplementary, are very crucial to understand the deconstruction. Please remember this. Trace, difference, and supplement. These three things we need to understand it. And I will give it in the form of summary in front of you. I'll put you in the form of summary in front of you. What is trace? No fixed or finished entities. only indications, impressions, you can say imprints, or you can say footprints of the object. Object means word. Footprints of the word. The word which is already absent, which is not there. When we say light, the dark is already there, but the traces of dark gives meaning to light. Traces of bad gives meaning to good. So only formations are possible in traces and not forms. Formations, something like in our Indian context, you can say sanskar. Traces are like sanskar in Marathi or in Hindi or in Sanskrit, if you see. What is difference? To summarize, it is to differ and not to differ, both the things. Only transience and not transcendental signified. You are not reaching to a perfect particular signified. There is only movement and delay. You're trying to find out meaning after meaning, meaning after meaning, meaning after meaning. It is delayed. It is endless deferral from signifier to signifier. It is moving ahead. It is signifier to signifier. It is moving, it is moving, it is moving, it is moving. It is a state of dissemination. Something like you can say Leela, different Leelas of Krishna, going on and going on and going on and going on and finding the meanings that what exactly it means by it, but there is no specific meaning to it. And supplement is one getting defined through the other, with the supplement of the other, support of the other, addition and substitution. Now to supplement is to add what is missing, okay, and to supply a necessary lack in others, to substitute perpetual dependency on that which is required to complete some existing lacks. You need to have something required to complete it. You require something. In simple words, you can say nothing is complete in itself. Half and half principle, a very good example. You can find it out in Hindu mythology, Ardhanari Nateshwar. Half, not complete. These are the important features of writing before speech and conventional writing. Please understand this. Now it is implied here that any system that exhibits the three features which I mentioned right now, trace, difference, and supplement. Any writing which exhibits the three features in Derridian sense, you will find out, will you'll find out all these writings in a Derridian sense will exhibit these three features perfectly. In Derridian sense, these three features are always reflected. Now, if a sign is a sign of another sign, you will feel, sir, what confusing you are talking today. Sign is a sign of another sign. Yes, in every sign you will find out hidden another sign. In that sign you will find out hidden another sign. So you are trying to find out meaning after meaning after meaning after meaning after meaning. Similarly, a text must be a text of another text. If it is with the sign, it is also applicable to the text also. A text gives idea of another text. No single element, a word or sentence or discourse, no single element may be present in and of itself referring to itself without referring to another element which is not present. It is always referring to another element which is not present there. Whether it is a word, whether it is a sentence, whether it is a discourse that we have discussed what discourse it means by, you know it very well, which Michel Foucault has pointed out. You will find out whether it is written, spoken, any sort of discourse. It is pointing out, it is looking after, it is referring to another element that is not present there always. And the same notions of trace, difference, and supplement are also applicable to any text. That's why when you are applying to any text, you can find out these three things in the text. If you are having a deconstructive reading of any text, that can be a topic for your research. Deconstructive reading of any text, take any text, whatever name you want, whatever you like, and try to find out all those things. Because what Derrida says that a text henceforth is no longer a finished corpus of writing. Some content enclosed in a book or in its margins, but with some differential network, a fabric of traces referring endlessly to something. That's referring to other things which are absent there. This is how you will find out, my friends, that this is a sort of interweaving, as you find out interweaving in the clothes. Textile industry used to interweave the threads together and make a cloth. This is a kind of textile. Every text is a kind of textile. This interweaving, that a text is trying to find out its meaning, which is either enclosed in the content of the books, enclosed in the margins. Sometimes you can say that it is also enclosed in between the lines, the gap between the lines. When you try to study drama, then you have to find out the meaning hidden between the lines, in the margins. So this interweaving is the text produced only in transformation of another text. It is produced only for the sake of transformation of another text. Now, if you look into the history of English literature, you will find out that Romanticism is developed because of neoclassicism, modernism, and then postmodernism. Postmodernism is developed because of modernism. Structuralism is because of the liberal humanist. The reason is liberal humanism. Every text produced is somehow transformation of another text. There are only differences everywhere, and everywhere you will find out trace of traces. There is no originary trace, because there will be transcendental signifieds if there could be one. If there is only one proper origin trace, then everything will end up to that origin. Everything will come to an end to that particular point. That's why he says there is no originary trace. That's why you are trying to find out meanings after meanings after meanings of every text, every time. In every situation, the meaning of that text changes. As I have given you the example of Hamlet with Vishal Bhardwaj's perception of Haider. Trace after trace, trace after trace. You'll find out only the linkage among the text, which you can call it as the intertextuality, the word which we use. The intertextuality, which is produced through the transformation of one text into another text. One traces of one text in another text. So there is linkages amongst texts, and the linkage itself is a text. Derrida argues, my friend, the essence of a rose is its non-essence. Essence of a rose is its non-essence, is its odor as it evaporates. The effluvium, it is thrown. Everything is been decomposed into its organic substances. Everything is going to decompose. Derrida saying the text is like that gas. Etymologically, if you see, my friend, the text is cloth. Because textus is the basic word from which, or it is the etymology. If you go with the etymology of the word text, it comes from Latin. And Latin, in the meaning of, in Latin, it is called as textus. And textus means woven. Woven. That means it is woven in one into another, amalgamation of certain things. According to Lacan, the very famous psychoanalyst, a text is like a dream. You can never say what it means. How can you say what it means by the dream? You're trying to find out the meanings of the dreams. You try to search the meanings and meanings of the dreams. What is the meaning of this dream I have? You'll find out that Text, what Lacan says, is like a dream where you will not find any sort of meaning. You're trying to search meaning. You cannot say what it means by. Or even Roland Barthes, the very famous French structuralist and post-structuralist or deconstructivist, you can say, who followed Derrida, and he makes a useful distinction between work and text. What Roland Barthes says, the work is concrete, occupying a portion of a book space in library, for example, occupying a portion of book space in a library. And the text, on the other hand, is a methodological field. The work can be seen in bookstores, card catalogs, and on the course list, because the work you can able to find out all those things. The work you can see in a catalog or in a bookstore. The work is there. Work done by Shakespeare, the work done by Wordsworth, the work done by Coleridge. Or in your syllabus, you will find out the work in the form of list. While the text reveals itself, articulates itself according to or against certain rules. While work, on the other hand, you can take it in your hands, work. But the text is held in language. It exists only as discourse. The text is experienced only in an activity, a production. The text practices the infinite deferral of the signified. Text is infinite deferral of signified. You have to find out meanings after meanings after meanings of the meanings of the meanings of the all the signifiers. It cannot be apprehended as a part of hierarchy or even a single classification of genres. Text, you cannot point out it is part of this hierarchy, or you cannot apprehend into a classification of one particular genre. It can be shifted into various genres. The text is dilatory, it will dilate into various things. The text is always plural. This is what Roland Barthes mentioned categorically about work and text. And that's why you have to understand that text is always carrying another text in itself. It is following the deferral. If a sign is a sign of another sign, and if a text is a text of another text, then context is a context of another context. Please understand this. The same thing I'm repeating, which I talked about sign first, then I talked about text, then I'm talking about context. Now, this implies that even contextual meaning is not fixed, because we have seen in earlier discussions that every text depends upon its context. You have to understand the context if you want to understand the text. And surely you will find out, my friends, that if a context is a context of another context, that means every context, a contextual meaning that we are trying to point out is not fixed. And there is no limit to what we may be called as contextual meaning. There is no limit for contextual meaning. You can find out various amples of contextual meanings of one context. It is also following the same endless deferral with supplementary. Please understand the meaning of these three words. Please remember those three words whenever you talk about deconstruction: trace, difference, and supplementary. This, the same endless deferral with supplementaries and traces is found in contextual meaning. Context is boundless in two senses. Context is boundless in two senses. The one sense is any given context is open to further description. Any given context is open to further discussion, further description, you can say. And the second thing is that there is no limit to what might be included in a given context. Context is boundless in two senses. Which are those two senses? First sense is any given context is open to further description. This is the first sense. Second sense is there is no limit to what might be included in a given context. In other words, any context can be grafted into context it tries to describe. Every context is grafted, is having another context in it. It clutched, it captures another context which it tries to describe, yielding a new context. Friends, context is not just physical. Please understand this. Context is not just physical. In any context, there is always already a mental, emotional, spiritual, imaginative, or you can say other inbuilt supplements that are part of the given context. So context, you can say, is not physical. It's not just physical. It is also mental, emotional, spiritual, imaginative, because it is inbuilt supplement. It is carrying inbuilt supplement with it. Derrida points to a suggestion by Wittgenstein. Wittgenstein is another thinker, another theorist, very famous theorist. Wittgenstein remarks that one cannot say boo, boo, boo and means that. What is the meaning of this word? You will say, sir, what you are saying? Boo, boo, boo. Wittgenstein is saying that if you utter this word and you mean that if it does not rain, I shall go out for a walk. You cannot mean by these three words, this sound which I uttered. You cannot find the meaning that if there is no rain, I shall go out for a walk. Wittgenstein himself has made it possible for us to do that. You have to find out, you have to search what context it is uttered, to find out certain meaning, that why this word is appearing in front of us. If you are carrying a white umbrella and someone says to you that I have never seen a white umbrella, you can say he has seen one, because now you are carrying the white umbrella. So the person who says I have not seen any white umbrella, no, look, you are looking at this particular one white umbrella which I am having. The meaning, the context that he has not seen. Now he cannot say I have not seen any umbrella. Another interesting example, if you find it out. Now the word, the three words, not now, darling. This is the word. Now this could have been said by a mother to her child in front of any ice cream parlor when the child is asking for ice cream. That at the time the mother will say, not now, darling. Now the contextual meaning decomposes because it can be grafted into another context. It can be grafted into another context. This can be used in another context. The mother is thinking of another context, these three words, in which her husband used to say, he used to utter the same expressions while they were alone before his death. She may have thinking that. Now this in turn can be grafted into another fictional context by saying that this entire episode happens in a short story. This entire episode happens in a short story, you can say that. Because it has a fictional context. That again is based on what happened to in writer's life. You'll find out what happens in writer's life, that he wrote this particular word, and so on and so forth. You can get out meanings of meanings of meanings of meanings of meanings from the context. This is actually, my friends, an endless deferral in contextual meanings. Endless deference in contextual meaning. If if you get the very interesting word that always a priest in a church used to say, that in a marriage, now I pronounce you man and wife. Now you can use this, and I now pronounce you man and wife. If you use this sentence, you can get ample of context applicable. Ample of context is possible for this particular sentence. So not only the signifiers are differing to find out its significance, It requires supplement to fulfill or to reach to certain pointing out with another signifier. Even the text is not complete. Even the context is not complete. If you get into the spirit of deconstruction, you are thinking of the unthought, the things which you never thought. Deconstruction forced you to think of the unthought. Derridian deconstruction, my friend, urges you to think beyond what is given. Derridian deconstruction always makes you to think what is beyond what is given as an absolute knowledge. You have to think beyond what is given as an absolute knowledge into the area of unheard or unthought thoughts. You cannot say that I'm restricting myself to certain things because I got an absolute knowledge. No, what Derrida is saying that there is, you have to think that what you are thinking is an absolute knowledge. You have to enter with this absolute knowledge into the area of unheard and unthought thoughts. Then you can able to deconstruct it. What is to deconstruct? Deconstruct is to do and undo ceaselessly. You're not doing one activity only. Do and undo ceaselessly. Continuously you are doing it. Continuously you are going with do and undo, do and undo, do and undo. You will feel that, sir, what you are saying that undo means to destroy. Undo is not the same as to destroy, but rather it is akin to the decenter. Rather, it is very close to decenter the things. We'll talk about the role of center probably today or tomorrow's lecture. What is the role of center? To deconstruct means to constantly destabilize what has been done and to rigorously demystify what is received in the name of knowledge. Rigorously to demystify. Friends, to deconstruct means is to examine minutely in order to dismantle conventional hierarchies. To dismantle the conventional hierarchies, which is already given in the system, where you arrive at an exactly opposite position. The deconstructive enterprise involves a lot of vigilant skepticism, I can say. Vigilant skepticism. A labor of thought. It is not an open-ended, please understand this. It is not an open-ended or unlimited textual free play or a farewell to rigorous reading. Some of you might think that We have to farewell the rigorous reading. We did not do the rigorous reading. If you don't do rigorous reading, if you don't have a close reading of the text, how are you going to deconstruct it? It requires a very close reading of the text. Some American deconstructionist, they think that deconstruction is a kind of hermeneutic which is free for all. It is free for all. It is a joyous release from all the rules and constraints of critical readings and understandings. You are made free to follow a critical reading or critical understanding of certain things. You have to find out, you have to be a very close reading with the three terms that I mentioned it earlier: trace, difference, and supplementary. In fact, the highest standards of argumentative rigor, because it is a disciplined identification and dismantling of the potentialities of the textual powers. You are dismantling all the textual powers. It makes the text, or it helps you that the text is shown to read against itself. You have to read the text against itself through the exposure, what might be called as the textual subconscious. You have to follow the textual subconscious, where the meanings are directly contrary to the surface meaning. If you read any statement, any sentence, there is a surface meaning and there is a hidden meaning of that particular sentence. Every sentence carry various meanings, and that's why we discussed quite time before that text is not reaching to a one particular meaning. It is pointing out towards another meaning. Deferral, postponement. So what is deconstruction? Deconstruction is where you will find meanings are directly contrary to the surface meaning. They are exactly different than the surface meaning what you are getting out of it. Because you have to read the text against itself. The text is shown as multiple, disunited, with various shifts and breaks, or contradictions, or silences, or aporias, that is blind spots there, or fault lines. All those things we have discussed a couple of days back. Every text is carrying all those things, and deconstruction means to find out all those things, to study all those things, to minutely work out all those things. Then and then it is possible for us to understand what exactly deconstruction means, what exactly deconstruction carried with itself. I think we should stop here, and tomorrow we will continue with the role of the center in deconstruction. What is the role of the center? Then we'll talk about bricolage, the another term. And then we will move further with a kind of understanding of what exactly we all used to find it out, that how the whole idea of the text, and we will find out what American deconstruction is, how American deconstruction is, and how deconstruction is in India. In that way, we'll go to come to an end of deconstruction. We'll have our lectures on Friday and Saturday also.